friends, welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba, a first-time homesteader following in the footsteps of my homesteading forebears, and today we're going to be doing something exciting. We are going to be canning chicken. So before we get into that, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss another Gubba video. So, canning is a great method for food preservation. It lines your pantry with ready-to-go food, lasts for years and years. So today we're going to be using my All-American pressure canner. It's the model 921. I will link it down below. I got this about a year and a half ago for $320, and it's now right around $380, and with everything else going crazy, I expect it's probably going to be going up more. So if you've ever wanted to get into pressure canning or you're just thinking about it, I would suggest getting your pressure canner now. There's also other canners like the Presto canner, which is a cheaper price point. This is a weighted gauge canner, so I will put a weight on here, and it also has a dial right here. I won't be going off of the dial. This is just for reference only, so it is nice to have. And it also, the All-Americans have a metal to metal seal. They don't have rubber gaskets that you have to replace. All I have to do is oil this where the metal meets the metal, so this doesn't like stick together after a canning process. And yeah, we're good to go. I did a test run with this. I feel, as comfortable as I'm gonna get, so let's just go for it. So I have all of my canning supplies ready to go. I got the jar clamper, a little jar measurer because there's different headspace requirements for different things that you are canning. And for chicken, it requires an inch and 1/4 of headspace. So these little marks will help me determine where I'm at. And then I have a funnel to put on top of the jars to just help me put the chicken in. And right here I have the weighted gauge. This will be going on top of my canner. And so the different weights correspond to the different altitudes where you're at. So if it's 1,000 feet above sea level or more, you're gonna add 15 pounds of pressure. So this is what I'll be putting on once we get that all up and running. I also have my lids and bands. Today I am canning with wide mouth jars. There's regular mouth and wide mouth jars. I prefer the wide mouth just because I feel like things are easier to get out of the jars. They are a little bit more expensive. I will also link the different options down below for the jars that you can check out. And I would also recommend, me, the prepper inside, to, if you're looking into canning and getting into it, to when you see a sale or see these available, to maybe get a few extra, just because there was a lid shortage, and then there's scalpers and they go up a million, like so much in price. So if you see them at a good price, grab them. And for pressure canning, you don't need to warm up your lids. So I was doing water canning, water bath canning, and I was doing some jams. And to get the lids ready, I would just put them over the stove in some water, warm it up, not boil it, just have some hot water, and let the lids sit in there for 10 minutes until I was ready to use them. And that just helps sanitize and keep things clean. But with pressure canning, because it's going to be so hot and the pressure is going to be so high and it's going to go for so long, you don't have to do that. So here is all of the chicken that we're going to be canning today. And like I said, it is a raw pack meat, which means we're putting the meat in raw, and it will cook in the pressure canner. And this chicken is from I got a organic pasture raised chicken, whole chicken. And so I cut up the chickens, and then what's so exciting is the chicken carcass that is left, the bones and everything. I'm gonna be making chicken broth, and I will video that for you guys. Homemade chicken broth. Oh, I'm so excited for that. But I'm also excited to have canned chicken ready to go on my shelf for enchiladas, tacos, you name it, soups. So this is what we're doing. So all of this meat came from 4 pasture-raised chickens. Here's 2 of them, and I got most everything that I could off. I'm not like a professional chicken carver, but all of this is going to be used. I'm going to be roasting this, and then I'm going to be making a broth, and any of the leftovers will be going to the dogs. Oh man, it is going to be so amazing. And you can use the bone meal for stuff, and there's like, you can use everything. So don't ever think that like you can't use the skin, the blood even, you know, the juices that came out. I gave that to 𝐚𝐻𝐨. She was so happy. You can use it all, and I think the animal would appreciate if you use it all. So that's what we're gonna be doing in this kitchen. So we are going to be canning chicken, a raw pack. So a raw pack is where I add raw chicken into here. But right now I have my stovetop going, and this is going to warm up and get the jars warm, which is what we want. We don't want to add cold jars filled with cold chicken into here, into hot water, because they could crack or burst. So we're just going to warm up our jars, and that's what I have doing while we get to packing. So as you can see, the water's warmed up. The jars are going to be warm, so I'm going to start taking these out and packing them up. And again, the reason I did this is I want warm jars to put back into the warm water. The cold and warm could cause shock and your jars to explode. We don't want that. All right, I got all my jars out. They're warm. I have you guys up close and personal so you can just see what I'm doing. So let's start right here. We're just going to be scooping out chicken, putting it in, and you don't add any water. So I'm going to just put that down in there. You can pack it down in so there's not a lot of air bubbles. And so there is a lot of moisture in here from like the blood and the chicken. I'm just going to drain this really quickly because I don't want a lot of that to get into my jars. All right, we're back. I drained it into a little jar for 𝐚𝐻𝐨. Okay, I'm just going to see, this looks like 1.5 inches headspace to me. So headspace is the distance between the top of whatever you're canning and the jar. So I'm going to use this to just measure. So yeah, it's about 1.25 inches down, so that's perfect for me. I'm also new to canning, so I'm doing like everything by the book. All right, so that's good for me. It's like right below the line for 1.25 inches. We're going to put the lid and the band on. Going to tighten it, finger tight, and that's ready to go. All right, next one. I might actually get more jars warming up. So I think I'll be able to fit more. Which I'm happy about, very happy about. All right, so that looks like about it to me. Oh, one important thing I forgot. I need to add 1 teaspoon. Oops, glad I remembered. I would have remembered. I need to add 1 teaspoon of iodized salt to each of these. For this, you don't want to use pink Himalayan sea salt. You want the actual iodized white salt. So that is what I am going to be doing. And you don't have to add any liquid because the canning pulls all of the liquid out. Finger tight. I'm going to drop that into the canner. I went to like a little canning thing at my church and they made it just look so easy. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So here I am doing it. All right, again, about 1.25 inches of headspace. I might just add like a little chunk. So as you can see, I'm like trying to get it perfect, but it's really not going to be perfect. But again, here I am trying to get it perfect. And I'm pretty sure when I watched them do the canning, they were canning pork, they added the salt and like garlic and stuff like after they added it to the jar. So I think I'm good on the other jar. So another big thing that you need to do before you put the lids on that, you know, I realized, and I got new lids, you need to wipe down the rim to make sure that there's no like juice or anything that could inhibit the seal from the lid. So I am going to do that right now. So I just have a little bit of vinegar. I'm going to just wipe down the rim, make sure there's nothing inhibiting the seal. And you can also check for cracks. And now we're ready to go. To be honest, I'm sure it was probably fine because, you know, if you're making like jams and jellies, you can get like stuff that will, like the jams and jellies on this, that could make it stick. Or if you're doing broths, you can get fat that could potentially cause an issue. But all this is raw chicken, and I don't think that there would be anything, but better safe than sorry. I'm just gonna add salt to all these while the salt, while the salt is out. Oh, it wouldn't be my kitchen if I didn't make a mess. Like honestly though, it literally wouldn't. And I'm okay with that. Like it's who I am. So, it is what it is. I only have enough for about one more. All right, so it's a little less than 1.25 inches headspace. Just a little though. That's on hand tight. All right, I'm gonna put these into the canner. All right, we got 7 jars, pint jars in the canner, and we're gonna get started with the canning process. Okay, so I put my lid on, so now I'm going to secure this by lifting the bolts on opposite ends, the wing nuts, and tightening at the same time. Making sure that it's even. So right now I'm just checking that this little gap is like uniform throughout, and see how it's shorter over here but bigger over here, so I will even that out. And now I'm going to turn the stove to high and get it heated up until this starts venting, and then once this vents, which I'll show you what it means when it's venting, for 10 minutes, then we will put on our weight and then we will get canning. All right, so a steady stream of steam is leaving. You can kind of see that. But now we're gonna set a timer for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes, we will put the weighted gauge on the pressure canner. All right, so it's been 15 minutes. We are going to drop the 15-pound onto here. Whoop. Okay. And then once this rocks, then we will start our time, and then we want it to rock 1 to 4 times a minute. So we will be adjusting the heat on the oven accordingly. And yeah. The pressure on the pressure gauge, the geared gauge, is rising as well. It should rise up to 15 pounds of pressure. This is for reference only, as you can see that it is going up, getting closer to 10, and then on to 15. So it started wiggling. You can see if I can show, right there, that was a jiggle. And so we're almost to 15. There's a jiggle. We want this to do it 1 to 4 times a minute, so I am going to reduce the heat because it is doing it more than that. You can see we're at 15, which is where we want to be. But we gotta wait for this. So I'm just gonna play with the heat until I get it accordingly. I have set the time, and I want it to stay at 15 pounds of pressure or higher for 75 minutes. For pints, it would be 90 minutes for quarts. So the timer went off, I turned off the heat, and now the pressure is coming down As you can see, it's below 10 now, and I'm not even gonna touch or do anything to this. Once it hits 0, I'll take that off for a few minutes, and then we can open it and see what we got. Okay, honestly, it does not look that appealing, but she's shelf stable, and it has all the liquid that came out of the chicken, and so I'm just gonna let these chill for 24 hours. This was the one that we didn't fill up much. This is just calcium from the water because it was in there boiling for 75 minutes because these are pints. And yeah, we did it. We pressure canned our first meat. Pretty dang exciting. Now I can just throw these into some enchiladas, and I'll let you know how they taste in future posts. Thank you so much for canning with me. If I can do it, literally you can do it. This was my second time ever using the pressure canner, and the first time was just the test run. So I really hope that everything turns out. It looks like it did. I didn't have any issues during the process. I'll keep you posted on what I think. We're gonna be using this bad boy even more, so stay tuned. Make sure to go check out some other Gubba Homestead videos, and don't do anything a Gubba wouldn't do. And I'll see you guys in the comments. Bye!